This week we're going to take a look at cascading style sheets, or CSS. CSS is a way that we control how information or how elements are displayed on an HTML page. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a look at a page that you should be recognizing by now. And the first things I want you to notice about this right now is that I have a grayish background. It's no longer a white background like you've seen it. And I also put some lettering down here, and my letters are large and they're a different font. See, this was like a Times New Roman or something with it's different. And this is an Arial font here. So how am I making these things look a little bit different? And the way I'm doing that is with cascading style sheets. So let's go ahead and take a look at this, and I'm going to open up my text wrangler here. And in my HTML page, I have CSS stored in 3 different locations, and CSS can be stored in 3 different locations. First off is I have what's called internal CSS. So you see up here inside of my head tag, I have a block of style information. So it's controlled within a style tag, opening and closing the style tag, and then I have the element that I want to be controlled, whether it be a tag, an ID, or a class, which I'm going to go into here shortly, and then a set of brackets, curly braces here. And all of the information that is going to be controlled, or all of the properties and values that will be applied to this particular object, are going to appear within these curly braces. So let's say I wanted to apply something to all of my H1 tags. I would say H1 here, and then put a set of curly braces for that, and then put any style information I wanted to in between those 2 curly braces. And then I can keep all of that within these 2 style tags. But right now I don't have any H1 tags on my page, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. But you can see here the background color is this hashtag DCDCDC. That is how I turned the background of the page gray. Because if we go in here, you can go into your CSS references, which you can find down here, CSS reference. And it will tell you everything that you can change. And all of your colors, or many of your colors, you can get your colors, those hexadecimal colors, either from Photoshop or from in your HTML down here in the color values. So I just pulled that DC, I think somewhere from in here. So that's how I'm controlling that background color. And I can change anything I want to about the body by looking at that reference and seeing what things I can do for the body. So I have my background attachment, background color if I want to put a background image. All of that stuff is contained in here inside of the W3 Schools. You have a great reference for that. Okay, so this is how I do internal styles. Another way I can do style, and if I wanted to overrule something that I had in my internal styles up here in the head tag, I can do what's called inline styles. An inline style actually happens within the tag itself. So down here where I have this div, I can say style equals, and then my property and the value separated by a semicolon, just like that. So anything that I want to control specifically for that one specific tag only, I can put down there in the style tag. The last way I can actually control is with external style sheets. So what I would do for that is I would put a link up here, also within my head. And then I would create, you see I have here going a hyperreference just like we do with anchor tags or A tags, href here. And it's going to be a .css. So just like we changed using our text editor, we changed it from .txt to .html. For this we're going to change it to .css. And you can see over here I have my .css and I have this header 1, and this hashtag indicates that I'm calling it by an ID, and I'm changing it to Arial, font size 4 EMs, and EM as compared to pixel. Most of you having done Photoshop, you're used to using pixels. EMs is the size of one little letter, standard lowercase m on a web page. So this is going to be the height of 4 standard little m's, so it's a fairly big font size, and I changed my color to white. So you can see that is how I got this 4 EMs tall Arial font and white. So if I go in here, even though there's nothing inside of my HTML, if I take this out of my main styles, I'm going to delete that CSS or the color reference. Save that, and even though I'm making no changes inside of my HTML page, if I come out here and reload, it changes that to black because I took the color reference out. Now what's the benefit of doing an external page? You might be asking. Why would we do that? Well, because I could link 100 different pages to that one external CSS page. So if I had a whole bunch of sites for my or pages for my business or for the college or whatever, what have you, I could link them all to 1 or 2 or however many external style sheets, and all the pages are going to have a similar look and feel. The other thing that we have to remember is, how do we call individual elements on a page? Here you can see I put a hashtag. That means I'm calling by ID. Here I called by tag, just saying the body. Let's go down here. How did I call by ID? I say span, which we haven't really talked about spans yet, but span's just a wrapper that you can put around something, span around something. And I'm saying ID equals header 1. I put that inside of the tag itself. Then over here, because I have a hashtag, I know I'm calling an ID. I could change that to a dot. Let's see what happens. It doesn't work anymore. Now it's gone. Because now my CSS believes that I am calling by class. Because class is the other way that you can call things. So if I go in my HTML and I change this from ID to class, it works again. So you're probably asking, what's the difference between an ID and a class? An ID is something that you generally only have one of. So like you have one header on the page, you have one footer on the page, you have one left nav bar on the page. That's it. You're going to use in that instance an ID. And also you will be using IDs later on when you start doing coding and things. So it's actually, if you can use an ID, it's a little bit better. However, let's say you have something where you're going to have multiple items on the page. For instance, I have these 2 text fields. And so I want all of these text fields, but maybe not some other text fields in a different form to have a red background or something. Then I could apply a class to these. So that is a class of text fields rather than a specific text field. And that's really all the basics of CSS. I want you to go ahead and go through the W3 Schools Basics section and take a look at how to style font, how to style tables, and I believe lists.